everybody.
What's happening, everybody?
Season 6.
Good to see you, man.
How are you?
I'm doing good. I've been a little busy.
Just a little bit.
A little bit.
So summer's over.
Yes.
What was your summer like?
It was probably one of the most productive summers that we had, including and not limited to all the trips we took and all the little camping vacations and things that we had, which is super fun. But yeah, it was actually quite productive. Since this is a real place, right? We talk real all the time.
No, we do.
We saw some miracles happen. We got some breakthrough happening spiritually. Stuff just went down, and I'm very, very grateful. I'm like fully recharged for this.
I was
fall.
just getting ready to ask, are you rested? How are you feeling?
I'm doing a lot better than a handful of episodes and years ago. Let me tell you.
And now, is it Kaylee that's off to college?
Yeah, Kaylee, by the airing of this episode, we still have another week before we take her to school. But yeah, she'll be in Central Washington.
Okay.
And she's going to be going for a teaching degree in choral music.
Wow.
So
now mom is crying tears of sadness, but dad is crying tears of joy, right?
I think we're swapping tears from time to time.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Like some of it's sad because, she's my girl. She's so much like me. And at the same time, it's like, I love you. You need an adventure. Go away.
And now, Cole, what grade is Cole going to be in?
Cole he's a freshman in high school.
Come on, man.
Yeah, dude.
I feel old because I think he was in elementary when I met you.
Yes.
So I definitely feel old.
Yeah. He started in his freshman year, KVA this year. So he's doing high school from home.
Yes.
But because of the route and the way it's all laid out, because of the strategy that's there, he's actually he could even graduate early. We're gonna get him. It's good stuff, man.
Have a strategy.
That's right.
Have a strategy. Work it out.
That's
Come
right.
on, man. That's good.
So
yeah. We are so glad that you're with us. Season 6, episode 1. All of the description and the links as far as our email, buy me a coffee, that is going to be down in the description below. We just want to say thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah.
Season 6, episode 1. This is titled Hope is Not a Strategy.
That's right. Hope is not a strategy.
Talk to us, Pastor Wes. What does that mean?
Well, my grandfather was in Mississippi. He was a Baptist pastor most of my growing up life. He was also a carpenter, so he did the whole Jesus thing, right? Which is kind of funny, but at the same time, like that's where I get a lot of my stuff.
Yeah,
from.
I was about to say you kind of
I do
walk in those footsteps.
Yeah, I do. And so, but I remember him telling me one day, and it kind of stuck with me. He said, "You can hope in one hand and you can crap in the other, and see which one fills up first."
I love your grandpa already, bro.
Papa was great.
He would be canceled in today's culture.
He would
if he would have said that. But I love it.
But it took me a really long time to figure out a lot of what that meant, right? And it's because the things that are very tangible, fill up quickly, and your calendar and your bills and your blah blah blah, and all these things are tangible. And it's often things that you don't want to happen often happen.
Yeah.
But he said, here's the deal. If all you are doing is hoping for something and you're not putting in the work for it,
oh, there it is.
Then that's when even the word says hope deferred makes a heart sick, right?
Yeah.
And so if all you're doing is hoping that your church will work,
right,
hoping that your relationships will grow, hoping that your business actually gets more business and more customers, if all you're doing is hoping, hope is not a strategy.
So what I'm hearing is was he Papa?
Papa. Yeah.
What I'm hearing Papa say is that there needs to be work done.
Absolutely.
So there's nothing wrong with having hope.
Right.
I don't even think there's anything wrong with having dreams.
Right.
The Bible talks about that. But what I'm also hearing be said is that there needs to be work. There's a scripture that refers to that a man that doesn't work doesn't eat.
Shouldn't eat. Yeah.
And so how can we encourage the listeners today, right? How can we encourage? Because as a youth pastor, I'm always trying to figure out, and we talked about this offline, so we're going to bring it online.
Yeah.
And this is a safe place. The pajama pants.
Oh, right.
I see my students walking around in pajama pants.
Right.
Growing up, that was not allowed. If I was going to be outside, I needed to have out. You know how like you have your new school clothes?
Yeah.
And then when you get home, you need to take off the new school clothes to put on the play clothes.
Yep.
And that was probably only going to last a couple months before those became But I'm seeing young people walk around, and this is just from a youth and young adult pastor's perspective. I'm seeing youth primarily walk around in pajamas, Crocs, slippers, hoodies, blankets.
Right.
Now, back in my day, we would see girls walk around like that.
Right.
But now I'm seeing the young men. And I'm not trying to say anything disrespectful, and I'm not trying to say anything that's like sexist in any way.
Right.
But I guess what I'm trying to bring to you and present to you is there laziness out there? Like, oh, I just want to attain it now and not work for it.
The generation behind us, for sure, millennials, some millennials, and mostly Gen Z.
Yeah.
They want things without really having to work for them. And then if they do work for them, then they want them like tomorrow. Right. Oh, I did my chores. Where's my allowance?
Like that Amazon
whatever.
blessing.
Right. Yeah. Amazon blessing is here in 2 days. Right. Yeah. But I think a lot of what really happens with this generation is not that they're lazy. Right. My son hustles.
Right.
Okay. He can get it. But the boy wears pajama pants all the time. And I just don't get it. And so I think it has more to do with him being lethargic.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, so not lazy. Because lazy is just the whole I don't care thing.
Yeah.
To be lethargic is more along the lines of I know what can be done, and I'm kind of choosing the easier route rather than the work route. Right. I'm not lazy in the fact that I don't completely care.
Right. Like I'm here, aren't I?
Right. Exactly.
Like I got here. I showed up.
Well, and I saw a T-shirt that says, I woke up this morning, you should applaud me kind of thing. Like these little meme T-shirts are out there now. And I'm going, I'm not going to applaud you for doing what you should have already been doing.
But let's talk about that. Right. And I think you're explaining it way better. And I'm not trying to be harsh when I say lazy, and maybe lazy was not the right word, but I love what you're saying because it is a great example. And I think a great way to describe, I could do it.
Right.
But I'd rather not. Right now. Because that's what I hear from Bella. Mm-hmm. Hey, let's get the dishes done. I'll do it later.
Right.
That's 2-3 days now. Mm. Maybe there is like, man, I really don't want to do it. I know I have to do it, but I don't want to do it.
Right.
So what is your strategy when it comes to doing dishes? What is your strategy when it comes to cleaning your room?
Right.
Are you opening up the blinds? Are you opening up the window for fresh air? Mm-hmm. Are you turning on music to get motivated? Or are you just kind of like, and I'm wondering, is that where we're at in today's society? Like everyone right now, and I'm not going to say they're get quick rich schemes. I'm not saying that, but I'm just wondering, are we just like going through like, man, there's so many things I want to do,
right? But
I'll get to it later.
So not too long ago, I preached on at Hope Church. I spoke on Sabbath and rest.
Yeah.
Okay. And so this is opposite of that because we're talking about working, right? We're talking about getting to it.
Do the work.
But the thing that I remember from Sabbath and rest that kind of, popped in while you were asking the question is, we are not designed to get all of our stuff done and then rest. We're designed to rest so that we have enough energy and desire to get the stuff done. And sometimes it's okay if not everything gets done.
Say that again, please.
Sometimes it's okay if not everything gets done.
Okay.
Right? And so for some of you who need permission.
No, I think that's good.
Right?
Say it.
And it's okay that dishes don't get done sometimes. Now, that's also kind of a side note to everything that we're really talking about. Like if your kids, if you and your kids, or you and your employees, or you and your ministry team, right? This is our goal. This is what we want. This is what we're pushing for.
Right.
But the work doesn't get done, then don't be surprised when we're not where we're pushing for. Okay.
So then, okay. It's okay that things don't get done. I heard it said many years ago about margin.
Right.
Like we have 24 hours in a day.
And everybody has the same 24 hours.
And I believe one of the most disciplined leaders out there next to John Maxwell is Craig Rochelle.
Right.
I love his discipline. I love his work ethic. I love that he gets up and gets after it.
Right.
He has admitted that he does what he can, and he does the primary things that take priority.
Right.
And after he's done, he looks at the schedule. Okay, well, because you still need to eat in between that time frame.
Right.
Because I hear people say all the time, oh my gosh, I'm working so much I didn't even get a chance to eat. I work so much I don't even think about food. Well, that's not healthy.
No, that's not me either. I always think about food.
I do too. I wake up thinking about food, and then I'm like, I don't need to think about food. I need to wait a little bit. But I'm loving what you're saying. It's okay that things don't get done. To what extent do we live in that margin?
So I think, and this is my personal feeling, right? I think that if you want to push towards that dream, if you want to push towards that goal, giving yourself a little bit of leeway to not have, like, if you've given yourself an impossible list to complete in one day, giving yourself some leeway and some grace to push that next thing off to the next day, but not so much to where you push it off and then a month later you pick it up, right? That's where you're hoping that something will happen more than you're actually getting out there and working for it, or helping it to happen.
Right.
So the margin is very thin, because if you really want that thing done, get after it.
Yes.
Right. If you really want if you really want the service to go well, you got to schedule it. Right. You got to put people on the schedule.
Yeah.
And then you got to come in and say, hey, are you still on? Did you practice? Do you know what your part is? Right. Do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Like, can we train you?
Yeah.
Yada, yada. Instead of going, oh, I filled the schedule and I just hope service goes okay. Right. Or hey, I put all my employees on the schedule and I hope this day actually comes out all right, because, I put employees on there. Yeah. But are we all pushing towards the same thing?
Right.
There has to be a strategy somewhere outside of, oh, I just hope it gets done.
Now, here's a question, but we're going to break for our sponsor.
Okay.
Matter of fact, let's break for the sponsor, and then we'll bring the question back.
All right.
I like that better.
Hey, we just want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of today's show. You guys know that we drink coffee on this show all the time, and so it would be just perfect for our very first sponsor to be a coffee company. That's right. Beansforgiving.com. Beansforgiving.com. It's an extraordinary coffee with an extraordinary cause. Their signature blend is right here on the table, Sweet Jesus. We've been drinking that pretty much this whole season. He has 3 or 4 other blends that are fantastic. Beansforgiving.com. Extraordinary coffee with an extraordinary cause. You can find it online, beansforgiving.com. If you buy one, you give it, you enjoy. And here's the thing. 100% of the proceeds of the purchase of this coffee go to a nonprofit organization of your choice. That's right, a nonprofit organization of your choice. So not only do they not really make a lot of money on this, they support nonprofit organizations out there. They are also supporting this podcast by just giving us some coffee. So we want to make sure that we say thank you to Mr. Tony. Thank you for Beans for Giving, the company, beansforgiving.com. And so go check them out. And again, we receive nothing from your purchases, but I do have to tell you, it's good coffee with or without a little cream or sugar. It's great coffee by itself. So again, thank you to beansforgiving.com.
Shout out to Sweet Jesus.
Yes. Beans for Giving. Great stuff. I'm about done here. So I'm going to refresh that in a little bit.
Right. And we got a bag I think we're supposed to give away. We
do. Yeah. We'll do that on our socials here. If we haven't already done it, we'll do it on our socials here pretty soon.
Here's the question that I want to ask you.
All right.
So the title of this episode is Hope is Not a Strategy.
Correct.
I just came out of a season, still in it, but I feel it coming to an end, of being silent and strategic.
Okay.
Is there a difference, Pastor West, that you feel is between silent and strategic versus hope and strategic?
Yes, because you can be silent and still work.
There you go.
Right? You can still push into the strategy, or silence can even be strategic with the work that you're doing. The thing that I'm really trying to get to with this episode is you have to put in the work. Ministry is work. Owning a business is work, right? Having a great marriage is work. but all of it is worth the work. We can't just hope our partner will read our mind or gather our emotions or hope that they're going to fix us our, favorite dinner or whatever, right?
Yeah.
There has to be communication. There has to be work that goes into it. Same thing with ministry. Like, you can't hope that the church grows. You have to be evangelistic. You have to be strategic with what you're doing. And I'm saying that coming out of a season of, like, I was fixing the airplane in flight for almost 2 years, right?
Right.
Trying to heal myself, right? Or allow the Lord to heal me is really what I'm trying to say. But I had to go through some healing and lead a church at the same time. And that's really hard to do. And so I found myself going, man, I hope this church doesn't fall apart. Man, I hope this church doesn't, right? Man, I hope people don't feel like I'm just phoning it in.
Right.
I had to put in the work. And when the work began, when I got to the place of breakthrough and I realized that the work was being done, now we're seeing the fruit and the results from the work being done.
Wow. We live in such a day and age where we're posting
all the time.
I'm not knocking posts at all. I'm a youth pastor, and I know the way that we engage with our kids outside of Wednesday, outside of being on schools, is we post.
We post.
And we try to make things very engaging. But sometimes I think there is a season of silence.
Right.
And working in silence. So then that way the fruit will produce and show. Because I think if we can begin to work quietly and work diligently, seek the Lord privately, he'll reward you publicly.
Right.
And I love what you're talking about as far as the work needs to be done, because I want to go back to what you said earlier in the beginning of this. It's not that young people are lazy.
Right.
They know they can do it. They're just choosing not to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You know that your marriage is on the rock. You know that your business can be a lot more successful. You know that you should be writing the book. You know that you should be launching that business. Mm-hmm. If anything, what you're saying is that I'll do it later. And doing it later, and I'm still looking at you because I want you to hear this, doing it later can cripple you.
Right.
We're not calling anybody lazy. I think the last couple of years that we've all came out of has been nothing short of a miracle.
Yeah, I agree.
Especially for those who struggled emotionally with anxiety, everything.
Right.
But we were talking about in 2020, I hope this gets better.
Right.
I hope we make it through.
Mm-hmm.
Well, now we've made it through. We're in 2023, looking on to 2024.
Right.
There's work that we said we were going to do in January of 2023. And I'm just wondering, am I doing the work that I said I was going to commit to doing?
Right.
Oh, I hope that my business flourishes. You can hope that it flourishes and still do the work.
Mm-hmm.
Like I can hope that my youth ministry will read their Bible.
Right.
But if I don't crack this thing open, walk with them strategically through it every Wednesday and encourage them to show back up for groups, for them to do it, then it's nothing.
Yeah.
My mom used to tell me when I was growing up, nothing comes to a sleeper but a dream.
Okay.
And her reasoning behind that was get up, get to work. Work while it's day. My wife still gets frustrated because the appointments that I'll schedule, sometimes they'll be 9 a.m. She's like, why are you scheduling something for 9 a.m? Yeah, I know it's early. Yeah, I know I just went to bed at 2 studying, but I have stuff I have to do.
Right.
And if I know my bride, like how I know my bride, if I can put all of the work in the first half of the day, when you call me for a pivot or an audible, hey, can we do this? Can we do that? I've already done everything I need to do.
Yes.
So if you plan ahead of time, you'll be successful.
Yeah.
So I don't want to just be sleeping the whole day away. Like I don't want to just be sleeping hoping, oh man, I hope that this gets better. No, there has to be some intentional work.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to some of the kids, and I guess we're really harping on some of the teenagers and young adults especially. So I have a 22-year-old.
Let's talk about them because I pastor them.
And I have a 22-year-old. And the other day she told me this point blank, and I didn't have an answer for her. And I didn't have an answer because I'm seeing a pattern, and I didn't want to say something to like hurt feelings.
Yeah, okay.
And at the same time, I'm like, okay, you're an adult. You're about to get talked to like an adult, right?
Okay.
So she said, Dad, I don't know what to do. I'm so bored. She has a full-time job. Mm-hmm. She loves her job, but it's the same thing day in and day out.
Right.
And I said, well, do you have plans? Do you have a strategy? Do you know what you want to do? Because if it's not what you're doing now, then you need to know what you want to do. And then I can help you with the steps to get you there.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I looked at her and I said, I don't know exactly what you're supposed to do.
That's such a real answer.
You can find joy in a lot of different things, but I can't tell you what to find joy in because we're a little bit different. She's my creative.
Okay.
Right. If I had the ability to support her financially for one whole year, I would stick her in a room and I would tell her to write because she's a brilliant writer.
Right.
And don't worry about your bills. Just write.
Yep.
But I can't do that because that would be hoping for something without a plan. I hope she gets it done after a year. But I would stick her in a room and I would say, by this day, you need to have this many words. And by this day, you need to have this many words. And by this day, you need to be on book 2. And by this day, you need to be, right? So then the hope, I want to say this right. The hope then becomes a reality when the work becomes a primary
focus.
Thank you. Hope becomes a reality when work becomes a primary focus. Like if you have a strategy to get it done, then it's no longer hoping for something. You're in it. Like you're working for it.
Hold on. It's coming to me right now. Let's just be honest. I watched my dad get up, go to work, come home, repeat.
Right.
I watched him get up 4 a.m, leave 5 a.m. My dad didn't start work till 7. And he worked himself into being trustworthy and credibility.
Right.
They gave him keys because he got there at 5:30 a.m. and would sit there because he wasn't about to be fighting with the traffic.
Right.
They said, Sanders, would you mind being here, opening up the gate, getting things going? He said, yes, sir. And he did that for 2 years.
There you go.
And then instead of waking up at 4, he began to wake up at 3:30. And what I watched my dad do was work.
Right.
So there was work ethic that was an example in front of me. You know where I'm going?
I do. Keep going.
Where's the work ethic, or what has been shown to the youth and to young adults?
A lot of what has been shown is you can take shortcuts.
Yes.
And still get okay. Everybody wants to be Mr. Beast, right?
Yes,
we're on YouTube. This is on YouTube.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to be Mr. Beast. But back to what we talked about when it comes to finances, right? Last episode of season 5.
Yeah.
Did you pay the same price that Mr. Beast paid?
No.
He started in a little bitty room doing a whole lot of nothing until he got to his first 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 followers. He was now the man can't stop making money, but he also puts a lot of that money he has a strategy. He also puts a lot of that money back into what he does so that thing can continue to grow.
Can the strategy develop as it's happening?
Oh, absolutely it can. But a strategy, you will never grow an ear of corn if you don't plant a seed.
Now watch this because I think we're almost running out of time. But I think we've kind of gotten comfortable with a 30-minute mark, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Because what I'm meaning by that statement is the strategy will develop as you invest the time.
Yeah.
And because first the idea is there.
Correct.
So now when the idea comes, you write it down. Well, what does it say scripture wise? I'm glad that you asked me. In Habakkuk chapter 2,
you're learning. I love it.
It says, and the Lord answered me, write the vision, make it plain on tablets, so he may so he may run who reads it. Mm-hmm. The vision for Hope Church is the same in Renton, just as it is in Des Moines.
Correct.
The vision is the same in Hope Church Renton, just like it is in Des Moines. Mm-hmm. And the core values are the same. Yep. Why is that? Because Pastor West sat down, wrote the vision down, made it plain, so then that way Pastor Patrick could take the tablet and run with it.
Yep.
So then if you're telling me you want to be a starter on varsity basketball, that means during the summer, you better be doing the work.
Right.
Because when practice shows up and coach's baseline, we're going to see who's been running.
Yeah.
We're going to see who's been sleeping.
Yep.
We're going to see who's been eating right. And we're going to see who's been eating terrible. So I believe the strategy develops over time.
It does.
And I believe when it develops over time, it means you've grown over time. So now you're going from, this is what I want to start with. Matter of fact, if you go look at season 1 of Ministry Talks podcast.
Yeah.
And we're going to do it on this season.
In this season, it'll be our brag table.
We're going to have it right there.
We're going to play it on the screen.
Because you're looking at these microphones. You're looking at this table. If you've been rocking with us for 5 seasons, we started in my office that is now remodeled on them IKEA chairs.
On the little IKEA chair with a whole mic stand all up in my face.
But I remember coming to you with an idea.
And I was editing and cutting and pasting and I
know how to do none of that stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, thank you for Heather was like, how? I was like, I don't know how to do that. Heather was like, you need to learn.
Oh yeah.
And I'm going to. That's the plan.
Yeah.
So I'm saying, but the other thing about Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 3, for still the vision awaits its appointed time. There is an appointed time for things.
Right.
There is a time of sitting in silence and writing and being strategic.
Correct.
But while you're silent and being strategic, you should still be working, because maybe the vision and the dream might not take off then, but what are you doing now, right?
Let me clarify work a little bit, especially if you're in a season of silence.
Right.
So what the work looks like then is setting up the dominoes.
Oh yeah. I know where you're going.
Have you ever set up dominoes before?
Well, like
to kind of fall all in place. So you're setting up these dominoes. Well, maybe you're not ready to actually launch your business yet, but do you have a name? Do you have a business license? Do you have a website? Or at least a domain name, right? Are you going to be online only? Are you going to be brick and mortar, right? Who are your customers?
What's your target audience?
What's your target audience? I mean, one of the very first things we talked about even during this podcast, like who is this for?
Yeah.
Right. Who's the target audience? And we put all the dominoes in place before this podcast, which is what you do when you're hoping for something. We were being strategic about that to come to pass.
And one of the things that I love is that our statement, our mantra, I believe has now, because I'm hearing other people say it. I'm hearing my young adults say it.
Yes.
We don't know everything, but we're willing to walk with you through anything. So, okay, I just came out of one of the most productive summers ever.
Right.
Okay. I did like 5 summer camps, 3 weddings, summer classes, the whole 9. It's what you do as a youth pastor in the summer.
Right.
One of the things we did was a Q&R. Not a Q&A, a Q&R.
Okay.
Question and response.
Oh.
I'd rather give you a response biblically that I feel can be correct.
Yeah.
Than trying to make it seem like I got an answer for that.
Okay.
And the only reason why we went with that is because, you know what? I have a response for everything. I don't have an answer for anything. So what are we saying, right? In conclusion, right? Because I'm gonna let you wrap this up. Hope is not a strategy. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2, verse 3. I mean, you can even look at verse 1. It says, I will take my stand at my watchpost and station myself on the tower and look out to see what he will say to me, and I will answer concerning my complaint. Well, let's talk about it. Like, if you're positioning yourself after you get off of your 8 to 5 or 9 to 5, whatever, you should commit to putting in 2 to 3 hours on your dream just as much as you're trying to be on time for that job.
Right.
At least that's my thought.
Right.
Could be wrong.
Well, I mean, it really depends too, which we might actually do an episode of. It really depends too, is if, like, are you trying to develop a side hustle to supplement income? Right? Should pastors have a side hustle? That could be an episode that we do.
Matter of fact, we probably need to.
I think we actually have that in our list.
That's on the they don't even know about the list.
I know. We'll have to tell them about it eventually.
I don't even know if that's probably not even going to look right. But anyways,
it ain't gonna
on our notes page, we have a shared
note.
We have a shared notes.
It was one of the dominoes we put into play before we ever recorded. Small
seasons. Start with like 7 episodes per season.
Yeah.
Sponsors to help small business.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We said that we were going to do about 20, 25 minutes per episode, but I believe since we are developing a broader audience, a bigger space, right, I feel like we can tap into the 30-minute now.
Mm-hmm.
All of this was wrote back.
It's been a year.
A year, has it?
It's been a year. Our conversation began in like June, July. The note was created in July.
And we said that we wanted to launch in September and October, and we launched in October.
But this conversation and that, like all of the dominoes that we've been putting in place to make sure that this hope became a reality, took strategy. Hoping something will happen is not a strategy. Hoping for it and then putting all of the work in behind it, that's a strategy.
Because what you do behind it, people just see it.
Right.
Oh, wow, that looks great. You don't know what we've done.
Right.
You don't know that we are literally carving out time.
You don't know how many times we've sat in a room and just sweat through an entire t-shirt because there ain't no AC in some of these rooms.
And I had the nerve to wear a beanie.
A beanie.
And that was because I didn't shave. But I shaved for season 6, episode 1. I'm loving this. And so the encouragement behind this is that hope is not a strategy. Here's a loving way I want to say this. Get to work.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid of the work. You know, Matt Frazier, CrossFitter, says hard work pays off.
Absolutely.
And I agree with it.
Yeah.
You can close this.
Hard work is worth the work when you're pushing for an end result. Like if you're doing it just to frivolously, put some effort into it, put some strategy together, and hope is not a strategy. You have to have pieces in place. You have to put the work pieces together. You got to line up the dominoes, and when it's time, right? That's what Habakkuk 2:3 says. When it's time, at its appointed time, you push the first domino over, and then you just go for it. Well, Pastor Wes, what if I put in all of this work and it just doesn't work out? Okay, then what's the next thing?
That's good,
right?
What's the next thing?
What if it does work out? What if it's exactly what God wants to bless in you that we've just been sitting on?
Well, we talked a lot about that in season 5, the faithfulness.
We did.
It'll happen.
We did.
For still the vision awaits its appointed time.
Yep.
Just because it didn't happen then doesn't mean it's not going to happen. God gave you that vision. He gave you that dream. Mm-hmm. He's going to give you the strategy. Where God sends, he also provides, and he'll send the right people to bring around you to help strategize even more.
Yeah.
So it will happen. Do not give up. Do not stop, because you've got to do the work.
Exactly. And I'm going to close it on this, and then we might do a little short after this one, because I want you to hear this. Part of your strategy is that you don't have to do everything. Part of your strategy should be that you don't have to do everything. If you're not good at graphics design, don't try. If you're not good at speaking, then maybe don't try, or maybe get better at it. Right? If you you good? You all right? You good over there? Part of the strategy is you don't have to do everything. This is one of the biggest bottlenecks in ministry is one person tries to do everything, and then it gets bottlenecked up, right? That's why Habakkuk 2:2 says to write the vision, make it plain, so that those who see it can help.
Yeah, we might have to do a short.
We might have to do a short on that one. Hey, that's it. We're going to wrap it up. Season 6, episode 2, we're actually going to talk about ministry is. Ministry is. I can tell you right now, ministry is work. Right? We just talked about work today.
Ministry is also work at any time.
At any time.
We don't get, well, there's office. Okay.
We'll get into that. We'll get into that.
Listen, we're so glad that you joined us.
Absolutely.
Season 6, we are so glad to be back. All of the descriptions are down below. Email, buy me a coffee, Spotify, YouTube, like, subscribe, follow, send this to a friend. We love you and we can't wait to catch you on the next episode.
And shout out to our actual, those who support and donate.
Yeah, because we've got some.
Look, we've got a little upgrades going on because we got folks coming in and doing and
I wish I could see this whole room because it looks amazing.
This is great. Hey, we love you guys. We appreciate you. We'll catch you on the flip side.